It's a great day. My name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we are on a mission. And our mission really is to inspire, our mission is to empower, and our mission is to provide you, that's right, you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. In this episode, we have the one and only Mandy. She's in the building, and she'll be talking about work-life balance and have a positive attitude. This will be interesting. What's going on, Mandy? How you doing?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me tonight.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you to viewers for watching and allowing us to stream into your home. We know you have choices, so we appreciate you tuning in and watching us now. Man, before we get started, everyone's looking at the title. Okay, they'll go Google you to see how famous you are all over the world and all that good stuff. But they might be wondering, work-life balance? Whoa. So my question to you is, what does work-life balance even mean these days, and what does it even look like?
So for me, I think work-life balance is different for everybody. But for me, the way I define it is to be able to have an income stream to support what you want to do, but also prioritize your well-being in your life. So making sure you have time to do meditation and have fun and go to concerts and be present in if you have children's lives or your pets with your dogs and things like that. So everybody has their own balance of what they're looking to do. Some people are young and hungry and don't have children, so they may put in a few more hours at work, but it's all about being able to find what balance works best for you so that you are at your optimum as you're working. And
I like it. So each person has their own definition. I heard you say that loud and clear of work balance. I guess my first question would be, why are people struggling? Seems pretty easy. Take care of yourself. That's what it seems like. So I guess the round question is, why are folks struggling these days to have a work-life balance?
Well, I like to just talk from like personal experience. So for me, I prioritize for a really long time. I didn't have work-life balance. All I had was work, work, work. And even if I was having fun, it was me entertaining my clients like on the golf course and stuff. So I didn't have, like I said, any balance and that was great. I achieved my goals. I was very successful in the commercial real estate financing world. But I ended up driving myself to burnout. And because I wasn't making time for my own growth, my or like illness. And then for me, I have PTSD. So I have a stress disorder. So being in high stressful environments, it causes some other things to trigger my health that will then take me longer to bounce back so that I can be present in my everyday life.
Yeah, and you've dedicated your whole life to helping other people reduce their stress, right? So they're not as stressed out
Yeah.
these days. Take a moment, if you could, and talk about when people think of the word stress, they think of overwhelmed. Are there one, two, or three ideas that you share to folks so they don't feel overwhelmed when they're doing so many different things?
Well, I think so. What I usually do with my clients is I have them do a stress test and it's a written questionnaire and really look at what's going on in their life. So a lot of people are, let's say it's the holiday season and they're looking forward to it and they're out doing their shopping and they think that they're really excited. Well, that just adds like 20 points on the test of the stress scale to stress that will ultimately reduce your ability to focus at work. And depending on where you fall in that scale, because there's different levels, that will tell if you're going to be having a health crisis as well. So I always have my clients take the stress test. There's a lot of things that you just normally happen in your everyday life, like maybe a busy commute to work and stuff that adds to it. And you might just not really be aware. of what's going on. So for me, I really like to teach people to really look at their day, be self-aware of how their body feels and how they're breathing and what they're thinking about.
Said well. Thanks for sharing that, by the way. And some folks, as famous as you are, they don't know you. I know some of you already Googled her. Some of you already looked her up. Somebody said, "Who is this person that's talking right now?" And others of you, you're like in the kitchen right now. You're cooking, or you're listening to the podcast. Maybe you're driving down the road. You might be able to know, Shay, take a moment. Let Amanda share, or Mandy. I keep saying Amanda. Mandy share. What's her background? What's her story? So you know the question. The question is, who are you? And what's the backstory that led you to doing what you're doing now?
All right. Well, so I am the founder of Amanda Paulina Meditation. So I go in and I teach work life balance solutions to corporate offices. And I also work individually with those that are looking to heal their trauma to have a thriving life and achieve their goals. And I got started with this because, as I had mentioned before, I was in commercial real estate for over a decade, did $1 billion in commercial real estate financing, and really like overworked myself. So by the time I was 30, I was just like exhausted. And I had a really traumatizing upbringing, and I didn't come from um, I came from a low income family. So for me growing up, it was all about setting goals and getting out of the income bracket that I was raised in. And in order to do that, I found the practice of meditation and setting goals. But as life keeps, as you go to college and stuff like that, there isn't a lot of people saying, oh, let's go meditate today. And so I just, instead of using some of the good coping skills I had, I just kept throwing myself into work. And so then at 30, I had to go out on disability just because, well, with my PTSD and having a very stressful job. If anybody's in commercial real estate, it's extremely stressful. And they did like a brain study on me, and they're like, "Yeah, you're full of PTSD and completely stressed out. Let's try to do some meditation. And if you do that for 6 weeks, it will reprogram your brain and start to metabolize the PTSD." So I did that, and I had my brain rescanned, and it was very clear that to me, and the evidence and the science behind it, that meditation is a real tool that everybody should be utilizing every day. And so I teach my clients that first thing when you wake up in the morning, do a 15-minute meditation. It can be guided. There's tons of apps out there. And that will allow you to have that pause during the day. So when you want to send that nasty email to somebody, you'll have that pause to look at it, look at a different perspective, make it a little bit more kinder, and just little things like that. And, once you have a clear mind and you learn to train your mind to think positively, then everything else is going to just start to flow in your life. And you're going to end up having more time because your mind is focused on what you're doing in that present moment.
Wow. Thanks for sharing, by the way. Hopefully, you didn't have to do any of that before you came here. Did you have any meditation before you came here with me? Are you stressing right now? No, I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Oh, I forgot my most important title. I'm Miss Corporate America West Palm Beach. So that's why I have a crown on my head.
And people might say, okay, Miss Corporate America, West Palm Beach. Why did someone who's already under a lot of stress and teaching people how to reduce the anxiety with meditation, why Miss Corporate America? How did you hear about Miss Corporate America? That's question number one. What is Miss Corporate America? That'd be question number two. And then we'll get into you.
So I heard about Miss Corporate America just on some Facebook ads, and I was like, this defines me perfectly. I've achieved great success in a male-dominated industry, and so I figured I checked the corporate Miss Corporate America box, and then I really just wanted to get my message out there to help others, and then specifically, I am a child abuse survivor, so one of my big passions is I go out into the community to speak as an advocate to end child abuse. And I knew that Miss Corporate America would give me the platform to be able to do that. And um, so that's why I did it. And the organization is great. It's just, for me, I've seen it as a huge network that is supporting women in whatever venture they're trying to do. So, we have the Queen owns her own daycare center. A lot of us are in the wellness or finance industry, and it has been such a great experience to have this network and fellowship of strong women who are great entrepreneurs, and just having, a whole bunch of new cheerleaders. So it's been an amazing, amazing experience.
And knowing what you know now, thanks for being so authentic about your background, by the way. Knowing what you know now, for those folks that are on the fence and they're saying, man, how does Mandy expand her comfort zone? Because sometimes you can be fearful and say, I don't know if I'm going to take action. But you seem to be fearful and still move forward, by the way. So the question is, what do you recommend to someone who's always on the fence, always a little nervous and thinking about it, and afraid if they do it, they might look like a crazy person? Here's the question. What's your secret to being able to move forward, even when the path's not always clear and you're fearful at the same time?
So what I try to do is I try to stay and live in the day to day. So especially when things like my path doesn't seem very clear, that's when I meditate in the morning and I pray and ask for guidance in the day. And then I look back and I see, okay, what kind of like guide winks or did the universe give me today to show me that I'm going on the right path? And what I've learned, and it's taken a lot of like pen and paper and looking at situations that I was fearful with, that once you get that fear, that's where the growth is if you keep walking forward into it. And I believe that if you can think it, then you can do it. So there's a reason why you had that thought in the first place. So so for me, going from being in finance and going into meditation and starting my own business, like that's a scary situation. I'm losing some financial security with that move. But I believed in myself enough, and I had done so many mantras, and I asked people around me, like, do you think this is a good idea? And there's days where I'm like, am I crazy? Like, should I just go back into real estate? But the reward is just so much better, and the the growth you get from fear. And that's what I love about my job is I can walk people through their fear so that they can achieve their goals and their purpose in life.
Entrepreneurship. You're in that world now. What do you enjoy most about being an entrepreneur?
Well, I feel like I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. When I was in elementary school, I had the lemonade stand and candy sales. And then I learned very quickly that you needed permitting to be able to do that. So that was my first business lesson. And then in high school, I opened up a coffee shop. So teens had a safe place to go and hang out. And I created that whole entire business plan, raised the equity, and that coffee shop is still up and running today. I don't manage the day to day or anything like that, but so that was my first like real baby project into being an
That's
entrepreneur.
crazy.
And
I mean, you raised the money. You can't just leave us hanging out there. What was it like going and asking for capital, asking for money for a concept or idea you had? Sounds like it was the very first coffee shop you'd ever run before in your life. So,
yes,
what
and, and in the
was
newspaper
that
articles, I said
like?
it. I made the business plan, showed all the financials. I went to local banks to get a loan for like a nonprofit, and I realized quickly that it was going to the cost, like the interest rate and stuff like that, just didn't make any sense. And to do that, we were going to have to kind of just raise more equity. So we ended up partnering up with Starbucks, who helped funded it by every $5 gift card we made like $2.50. So we sold a lot of Starbucks gift cards. But but you don't know these things until you're in the situation. So yeah, so luckily we had Starbucks behind us.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. That's a good segue to a segment we have here called "Today is my January 1st." Now, for those folks who tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what we're about to do. You can go ahead and say those magical words. Today is my January 1st. Happy New Year to you, by the way, and all of the new folks who are tuning in for the very first time. Today is my January 1st is our personal mantra here at the Happy Entrepreneur Show. It represents a fresh start. It represents a do-over. It means our past, no matter how dark and gloomy that past is, that the past no longer equals the future. And so my question for Mandy on the other side is really twofold. Number one, when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And what was a moment in your life there was a setback? If you ever had any, it sounds like your life isn't perfect so far. And how did you bounce back from it?
Well, for me, when I hear it's January 1st, it really reminds me of what I try to do, right? To live in that present moment. So every day is a clean slate and I don't know what's going to come ahead. And or for me too, it reminds me of when I'll be like, well, I don't want to have a cupcake today. And then if I eat a cupcake, it's like, okay, well, I don't have to wait for Monday for me to stop eating cupcakes. I can just keep going forward and try to do better and eat cupcakes going forward. So that's a really basic idea of that. But um, that's just, especially lately, just staying present and just being so grateful to have today in this moment is really what I've been practicing. And then which part of my past that would I get rid
Well, I was
of?
just curious. The audience always like to hear maybe there was a time that things didn't go right for you, and how did you bounce back from it? What was a setback, any setback you had in your life, and how did you bounce back from it?
I think one of like the more like setbacks I've had in life that was kind of my decisions was I was previously married and I got divorced. I got married at 22 and divorced at 27. And that was a big setback for me. Just based, you divorce is very painful, very hard, no matter what the situation is. And I, I had to sell my house and some of my material possessions and really restart something that I already thought I had kind of figured out, like just had the foundation for. Um, and I had to find my new identity of who I was going to be. I mean, between the ages of 22 and 27, you're still very, very young and figuring out who you are. So then to have such a strong identity, to being married and stuff like that, it was that I think that my adult life has been probably one of the hardest setbacks I've had to overcome.
Yeah, I've been there before, so I'm glad you made it through. Thanks for sharing with us. By the way, your life is not perfect. We all had to go through things, but here you are today with a crown on your head. What would you say to all the little girls out there that are saying, "Man, can I be a queen? Is this possible? Is this real?" What would you say from one of the suggestions you might have, I should say, for them to continue to be positive and have a positive attitude? Let me frame the question correctly so you get the answer. What are some affirmations you tell yourself in order for you to remain positive that you might share with someone else that's watching right now?
Well, lately it's just I am a queen. So, I look in the mirror and I say that like 3 times a day. I am a queen. And the other one is that I am capable of achieving what I want. And I say that over and over again. But really, it's just being in love with yourself. And some days you just have to look in the mirror and say I'm fabulous or I am a queen. Whether or not you believe it, say it, put a smile on your face, and it'll start to resonate and get in your subconscious.
I love it. I am a queen. I am a queen. I would say king, ladies and gentlemen, but I am a king. I love it, by the way. Um, as we come down the home stretch, what does success look like for you these days? What does that look like, and what does it mean to you to be successful?
Successful to me today means that I am performing at my optimal for that day and that I'm doing something for a purpose. So, and that is completely different than what I used to define success at. Success used to just be a dollar amount, and I was always just raising that. And now I realized that, yeah, trust me, I still like money, but it's not how I consider success. Like I look back and say, okay, how many people did I help today? Did I help at least one person? Then that's a success. And just how am I being part of my community? Am I doing the best that I can?
Success means so many things, man. I love it. As we come down the home stretch, a two-part question. Number one, for your company and your firm, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days? And number two, how can folks connect with you? Like, how can they stay in this conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have right now?
Yes. So I work with a lot of the corporate companies, law firms, attorneys, accountants, any type of company that really has a wellness budget and wants to provide tools to help increase productivity in their workforce. And then, yes, like I'm the person that can come in and teach those skills. And then also on a one-on-one, I have a 6-week boot camp program that takes you through mindset coaching and introduction to meditation. So a lot of those clients of mine are either trauma survivors or going through a major life event such as a divorce or loss of a family member. So those are really my big targets. And I'm also really getting out there and speaking on an advocacy for to end child abuse. So if there's anybody that's looking for a keynote speaker for that topic, I'm also available for that. And you can find me at Amanda Paulina Meditation. That's my handle for Instagram and TikTok. And then my website is www.amandapaulina.meditation.com.
I love you. Keep it real simple. Easy peasy, breezy to find, by the way. So let me say thank you so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. Congratulations participating in Miss Corporate America and representing your region. That's amazing. And keep doing what you're doing, okay?
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in, by the way, because without you, we don't have a show. And I never get tired of reminding you, every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, no matter what's going on in your life, whether you've been hit with the punch that you never saw coming, or you're taking your life to a whole nother level, that next level of success. Here's what I do believe. I believe that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason, I believe your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name is Che Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. Make some good things how we connect again next time. God bless. We wish you success. Peace. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later, Amanda. Bye-bye.